Some invitations feel like a trap from the beginning. Matteo didn't know that when he reserved the table at the most expensive restaurant in the city to celebrate his girlfriend's promotion. But when she in the middle of dinner and said, "My friend's humor, pay your part and leave," he didn't hesitate. He grabbed his wallet, calculated exactly what he had consumed, left it on the table, and wowed. What came after destroyed much more than a dinner.
My girlfriend told me to leave the dinner I paid for. I left and let her keep the bill. My name is Matteo. I'm 29 years old. I just walked out of what should have been a celebration dinner. Now I'm sitting in my car processing how my girlfriend of 3 years, Sophia, 28, handed me the perfect exit, and I took it. A little context. Sophia and I met at the housewarming party of a mutual friend. She was witty, ambitious, a marketing specialist. We clicked right away and moved in together after 18 months. Things were good most of the time, except for one problem: her friend group. The inseparable trio from college. Valeria, 29. Camila, 28. Simina, 27. Their behavior had always been intense, but it got worse over time. They were constantly taking shots at me, starting with small jokes about my work as a plumber, my hobby of restoring classic cars, and even the way I dressed. At first I let it go because Sophia laughed along with them, but then in private she would tell me she didn't agree. Tonight was Sophia's promotion party. She had just been named senior marketing specialist. I was genuinely proud. I suggested an upscale steakhouse in the historic district. I would pay for the whole table to make it something special. Things started well. Drinks, appetizers, light conversation, until Valeria started. "Oh, Matteo, are you still playing around with pipes for a living? Must be nice having such a basic little job. Doesn't require much brain power, right?" I smiled. "Plumbing is actually pretty complex. There's a lot of problem solving involved." Camila cut in. "Oh, please. You don't need a degree for that. Sophia is crushing it in the corporate world while you do what? Play mechanic with old cars. I restore classic cars. I just finished a '69 Mustang. How much money do you throw away on those junkers?" Ximena laughed. "Sophia, you could do so much better. Remember Diego? That guy from the conference? Now that was someone with ambition." I looked at Sophia. She just smiled, shaking her head in that way that says, "Oh, those girls." No defense, not even a hint of one. The jokes kept going all through the meal. They laughed at my grease under the fingernails hobby. They said I would never understand Sophia's sophisticated marketing work. Valeria actually claimed that Sophia was lucky that Sophia was lowering her standards by being with me. The breaking point came when Camila said, "Honestly, Sophia, when are you going to upgrade? Matteo is cute, but you have an executive profile and I set my silverware down on the table." "Sophia, this isn't okay," she sighed. "Matteo, they're just joking around. It doesn't feel that way." "Wow, he's so fragile," Ximena scoffed. "What's wrong? Are you going to cry over some jokes?" I stayed calm. "This isn't comfortable for me." That's when Sophia looked me in the eyes and said, "If you can't handle my friend's humor, pay your part and leave." The table went still for a moment. Then Valeria let out a low laugh. "Thank you for the option," I said, standing up. I took out my wallet. I calculated what I had consumed plus a tip and left the cash on the table. "That covers mine." Sophia rolled her eyes. "Matteo, sit down. Don't make a scene." I picked up my keys. "Enjoy the celebration." As I walked out, I heard the laughter. Camila said, "I bet he comes back in 10 minutes. I didn't come back." I sat in my car for a while. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. "First, Sophia, nice little performance. Come back and pay the bill." Then, "Matteo, this isn't funny." Then, "Seriously." I drove home. More messages came in. Reality hit them when the waiter brought the check. It was around $600 for the whole table. They had ordered expensive cuts, cocktails, desserts. I had left exactly what was mine.
And this detail right here is what turns an emotional exit into a surgical response. He didn't leave in anger. He left following exactly what she told him to do. She gave an order. He followed it. The consequence was hers.
Sophia called me 15 times on the drive home. 3 voice messages that went from irritation to fury. I went to the apartment to grab clothes and essentials. I went to sleep at my friend Santiago's place. The messages kept coming through the night. "I can't believe you humiliated me like that. My friends think you're a joke. You left me with a $600 bill. The embarrassment. Transfer me the money now." Around 2 in the morning, her friends joined in. Valeria sent me a lecture about how I was financially manipulative for making them believe I would pay for the table. Camila called me a retrograde idiot. Ximena sent me a payment request for $17 with the note, "Emotional damage." I blocked all 3 and tried to sleep. The next morning, Sophia showed up at Santiago's place. He, behaving like a true brother, said I wasn't there. "I know he's in there, Santiago. His truck is on the street. Maybe he parked it and took an Uber." She spent 20 minutes knocking on the door and calling my block number. Then she left screaming that I was immature and running away from my responsibilities. Responsibilities? I had paid for my food. That was my only obligation. Santiago made coffee and we talked. He had been saying for months that Sophia's friends were toxic and that she allowed it. He reminded me of when they had made fun of my father's accent at my birthday, of when they called my cousin's wedding rustic, because it was simple. You deserve something better. He was right. I had justified this for too long. A few hours later, I received a message from an unknown number. Hey Matteo, I'm Javier, Ximena's boyfriend. I heard what happened. Respect, man. They've been throwing trash at you for years. Ximena showed me the messages, and you did the right thing. I'm giving you a heads up that they're at Sophia's apartment planning a revenge scheme. Now they wanted to get back at me for not financing their night out. I went to the apartment while Sophia was at work to pick up more of my things. I found a noise complaint notice on the door, a complaint from a Monday night. Their strategy session had been loud enough that neighbors complained. The apartment was a mess. Empty wine bottles, food packaging everywhere. And my Xbox was missing. I found it hidden in her closet. Then came the real blow. She had gone into my garage and sold several of my specialized plumbing tools on an online resale site, my pipe threading machine, my professional clamp meter, all listed dirt cheap to sell fast. And worst of all, she had listed my '69 Mustang restoration project for sale. Restoration project, needs work, $300-400, urgent sale. That car was worth $10,200 in its current state and $17,000 when finished. And it was mine. I called the police. They told me that living together complicates things, but that selling someone else's property is theft. They advised me to document everything and file a police report. While I was taking photos of the evidence, I received a message from the landlord. Matteo, I need to talk about the lease. Sophia says you've abandoned the apartment and wants me to remove you from the lease. I also received a noise complaint. I called immediately. I explained the situation. He told me I had always paid rent on time, never caused problems, and that if I wanted the lease in my name, only he was open to that. Sophia would have to agree to move out, or both of us would lose the lease.
And here's the turn she didn't calculate. She thought that by trying to remove him from the lease, she was winning. But he had documentation of everything. Digital trail of the sold tools, noise complaints on the property's record, and the landlord on his side.
I documented everything. I moved my car to Santiago's garage and brought the remaining tools, leaving only what we had bought together. That afternoon, Sophia arrived home while I was loading my last box into the truck. What are you doing? Moving my things somewhere safe since you've been selling them. I needed money to cover the dinner you left me paying for. You stole my tools. It's not stealing. We live together. What's yours is mine. That's not how it works. Sophia stood there with her arms crossed as Valeria pulled up. Of course. I can't believe you're going to end everything over a dinner. It's not a dinner. It's 3 years of your friends disrespecting me while you backed them up. You telling me to leave if I didn't like it. You stealing my things after I left. Valeria jumped in. Oh, the loser is here. Matteo owes Sophia $600. I don't know anything. If anything, I invited them. I paid my part when I was told to leave, which is what I did. Valeria smiled sarcastically at Sophia. Told you he was too stubborn. Blue-collar guys always have a fragile ego. I laughed. Genuinely. Care more. The blue tall. Waiters always have a fragile ego. I laughed genuinely. What's quite a by dime wike. Digo. I dose to 70. Stetigo is tritolax. My ego is just fine. It's that my limits finally got activated. I loaded the last box and closed the truck. Sophia grabbed my arm. Matteo, please. Let's talk. We're talking. I'm done. I'll handle the lease this week. Find a roommate. Maybe one of your ambitious friends. You're throwing away 3 years. No, you threw it away. I just stopped financing it. I drove away. I felt lighter than I had in a long time. I filed a police report for the theft of the tools with screenshots of the online listings and my purchase receipts. The case was clear. I met with the landlord. Sophia refused to leave the lease thinking she had the upper hand. She didn't know I had documented everything. Selling stolen tools online leaves a digital trail. 2 more noise complaints in 2 weeks. The friend group meetings kept disturbing the neighbors. She even harassed Santiago's neighbor asking where I was. All of this gave the landlord enough grounds to act. He delivered a conditional notice to cure. 3 days to resolve the lease violations or face eviction proceedings. Suddenly, she was eager to be removed from the lease. And then the domino effect arrived. Javier Ximena's boyfriend messaged me again. He was exhausted because she had been talking badly about him to Sophia's group, calling him temporary until someone better comes along. He broke up with her and moved out the same week. Without Javier's income, Ximena couldn't afford her own apartment and tried to move into Sophia's place. but the landlord's notice prohibited unauthorized tenants. Camila's boyfriend saw the messages where she was demanding money from me, realized how arrogant she was, and stepped back from the relationship. Valeria, the main instigator, got fired. Not because of this drama, but because she had been losing work hours talking badly about coworkers online. Har had reached its limit. Without a job, she could no longer maintain her lifestyle. I found a one-bedroom apartment near work with lower rent. I'm fully locked in on the Mustang restoration with a goal of finishing it by spring. And I've been picking up extra plumbing jobs that are paying very well. Yesterday, Sophia messaged me saying she's moving back in with her parents. The friend group has imploded. Ximena blames Sophia for dating someone below her level. Camila called Valeria a toxic influence. Valeria said they were all ungrateful. Sophia's message read, "I can now see how toxic they were. I should have defended you. I'm sorry. Is there any chance we could try again?" I didn't respond.
I need to be direct here. 3 years. 3 years of jokes about his job, his hobby, his father's accent. 3 years of her laughing along and then in private saying she didn't agree. Real support doesn't have a schedule. It doesn't show up after everyone else has left. And when the moment came, she didn't just fail to defend him. She gave the ultimatum. He followed it. What she didn't calculate was that a man who works with his hands, who pays the bills, who builds something from scratch, that man knows exactly what he's worth and what he's no longer going to accept. She wanted to humiliate. He walked out. She wanted revenge. She lost the tools, the lease, the friends, and the apartment. He got a smaller, cheaper, quieter apartment, and he's happier than he's been in years.